Hi folks, so let's go for this little topic, and what we're going to do here is hopefully look at something called completeness square, or the completed square form. So previously we looked at trinomials, or quadratic expressions as I like to call them. We looked at these. And we could factorise them, but there's another way that's sometimes useful. We can get more information, but we'll go into that later in another unit. So this is just about the mechanics of it. So how can we put this in the completed square form, whatever that means? More details will be given in class. So what happens here is, since it's x squared in the bracket, it should just be, well, x, but before we do that, I'm going to say that I like to have two brackets, an elongated bracket that's squared, take away a small bracket squared, and we'll see what this is for in a moment. And see the constant that's on the plus c, but that could be positive or negative, plus or minus, whatever you want to call it. We'll put that at the end. So as I was on to earlier, since it's x squared, we're going to have an x in there because that's going to get squared eventually. Right, so inside the bracket now, we're going to have a constant term. So that number, the b, could be positive or negative, whatever it is, just divide it by 2. So b over 2. Things aren't always obvious when you're learning, so you just need to follow it. Just go with the flow. Right, next time, see that b over 2? That gets popped into that smaller bracket at the end, and it's going to get squared. So you're going to be, it's going to be a number divided between, you'll square it. Right, so that actually is a completed square form. And sometimes they like to show you in another format, but we are going to have numbers, so realistically it will be this for us. Sometimes show it like this here, plus q, they just want two numbers here, one inside the only bracket that remains on the third line, that would be p, that's really p over 2, and q, that would just be amalgamation of everything else that's outside the major bracket on the left in the third line. But you don't, I wouldn't, you're going to have numbers here, okay? So don't worry too much about that. Okay, let's go for it. Let's take this, x squared plus 8x plus 11. Let's get it set up. There's our first elongated bracket, and we're always subtracting the second smaller bracket, and then we always bring down the constant term, the number that's going to just come down there. Right, done. Right, so inside the first bracket it's going to be x, and because it's a positive there, it'll be positive there. If it was a negative there, it'd be a negative there. Right, but we're always dividing that by 2. And you'll see later on, once we reverse the process, we'll get back to the top line. So it's going to be 4, and automatically that goes into that smaller bracket that's going to get squared. Right. So all we're doing, it's like working in a factory on a conveyor belt. This goes in there, this goes in here, and everything will work out honky-dory. Right, the x plus 4 squared, that's done. So we're going to be subtracting 4 squared, and 4 squared is 16, but it's still going to get subtracted. So we just take out forget about the x plus 4 squared, it's done. That's the completed square part. We just need to sort out a constant at the end. So negative 16 adds 11, hopefully it'll give us negative 5. That's us all done. And if you wanted to see if that was indeed the solution, why don't you backtrack? Why don't you x plus 4 times x plus 4, then take away 5, and hopefully you would get that to that first line there. As it says, that's it. Okay. Let's go for another one. Right, so let's get it set up. Long bracket O squared, take away small bracket squared. Let's bring the constant term down here. Yeah. Let's sort out, we know it's going to be x squared, so that's it's going to x squared. That's where that comes from. Yeah. Then we're going to halve the coefficient of x. The coefficient just means a number in front of x, and it's positive 10. So when we halve that, it'll be positive 5. That automatically goes into this the secondary bracket, the smaller bracket, and we're going to square it. So the x plus 5 squared, that's done. That's a completed square part. Okay, 5 squared is 25, but we're subtracting it. And we're also subtracting that 19, the constant at the end. So the x plus 5 squared just comes down, and negative 25, take away 19. Use your calculator, and hopefully you'll get that answer there. And later on, when you do another unit, you'll see why we're doing this. But initially, we're just learning the rules. We're just learning the rules. Okay. Here we go again. X squared plus 14x plus 3. We're setting it all up. We're going a wee bit quicker. The 14 was positive, so next to the x, we've got a positive sign. Let's halve the 14 to get 7, and put the 7 into the smaller bracket. It's going to get squared. X plus 7 squared. That's all done. So we're going to have negative 14 add 3. Negative 46. Done. Okay. We're on a roll here. On a roll. Right, that's all set up. The constant term has come down to the right. That's what I mean with the constant term number on its own. Right, you know what's going to happen with 24. You're going to halve it. Once you've halved it, it'll also go in there. Okay, that part's done. We're just going to have to square that 12 there. Okay. So the part at the end, negative 144, add 1. Hopefully your calculator, or by other means via your brain, it might tell you. Look at that there. So that was actually quite short and sweet for the completed square form. So we're just going to keep it like that. Not going to complicate it, okay? Just leave it like that. That was only 9 minutes.